Welcome back to the Echo of the Soul. Most people misunderstand freedom. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. But true freedom is something very different. True freedom is self-control. Without self-control, desires become masters. Impulses become masters. Distractions become masters. Comfort becomes a master. And the person who believes they are free becomes a servant to whatever captures their attention. This is why discipline and freedom are not opposites. They are partners. In fact, one cannot exist fully without the other. The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you gain. Freedom from regret. Freedom from distraction. Freedom from self-sabotage. Freedom from wasted potential. Freedom from the endless cycle of starting over. Every undisciplined choice carries a hidden cost. A cost paid later. The skipped workout. The postponed goal. The broken promise. The wasted hour. The unnecessary excuse. The moment you chose comfort over growth. Individually, they seem small. Almost invisible. Easy to justify. Collectively, they become enormous. Years later, people wonder why life feels heavy, why progress feels distant, why fulfillment feels out of reach, why they feel trapped in circumstances they never intended to create. Often the answer is hidden in thousands of small decisions, decisions repeated over time, because life is built through accumulation. Everything compounds. Your habits compound. Your focus compounds. Your effort compounds. Your character compounds. Your confidence compounds. And so do your excuses. And so do your delays. The future is rarely created by dramatic moments. It is created by repeated patterns. Patterns eventually become outcomes. Outcomes eventually become realities. And realities eventually become identities. This is why discipline is powerful. It changes patterns. And changed patterns create changed lives. Many people spend years searching for shortcuts. They want faster results, easier paths, instant success. They want the reward without the process, the result without the sacrifice, the victory without the struggle. But shortcuts often delay the very thing people seek, because real transformation cannot be rushed. It requires consistency, not intensity for a week. Consistency for years. Showing up when you feel inspired. Showing up when you do not. Showing up when nobody is watching. Showing up when progress is invisible. That consistency becomes momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human life. At first, progress feels slow, almost invisible. Like pushing a heavy stone uphill, day after day, effort after effort. Then something changes. Momentum begins carrying you forward. The habits become easier. The standards become normal. The growth becomes sustainable. The actions that once required discipline begin requiring less effort. What once felt difficult becomes natural. Not because life changed, because you changed. That is the hidden reward of discipline. It changes your identity, and identity changes behavior. Eventually, you no longer force yourself to act. You simply act according to who you have become. You no longer chase discipline. Discipline becomes part of you. This is where confidence begins, not in success, not in praise, not in recognition, in integrity, in knowing your actions align with your values. In knowing your words align with your behavior. In knowing you can trust yourself. Trust is powerful. The person who trusts themselves moves differently, speaks differently, thinks differently, faces challenges differently. Not because they are superior, because they are certain. Certain that they will follow through. Certain that they will continue. Certain that setbacks will not stop them. Certain that failure is not the end. Only part of the process. That certainty creates strength, and strength creates freedom. freedom from the opinions of others, freedom from constant self-doubt, freedom from dependence on motivation, freedom from needing external validation. You begin building your life intentionally, not reactively. You stop allowing circumstances to decide your direction. You become the architect of your future. You stop drifting. You start directing. Every day becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every action strengthens an identity. Every habit reinforces a direction. This is why small actions matter. A single decision may seem insignificant, but repeated decisions create destiny. People often ask how extraordinary lives are built. The answer is surprisingly simple. One disciplined choice at a time. One focused hour at a time. One promise kept at a time. One temptation resisted at a time. Again and again and again. Eventually, the accumulation becomes impossible to ignore. People see the result. They admire the achievement. They celebrate the success. But they rarely see the process. The silent mornings. The difficult evenings. The repeated sacrifices. The lonely moments. The commitment maintained long after excitement disappeared. The persistence maintained long after motivation faded. That is where freedom is earned, not given, earned. The person who masters themselves gains access to a different life. A life guided by intention rather than impulse. Purpose rather than distraction. Vision rather than confusion. Growth rather than stagnation. And perhaps that is the greatest freedom of all. The freedom to become who you were capable of becoming. Not because circumstances were perfect. Not because opportunities were guaranteed. Not because luck appeared at the right moment. But because you chose discipline when comfort was easier. You chose growth when excuses were available. You chose purpose when distraction was everywhere. You chose action when hesitation felt safer. And those choices changed everything. The world does not need more people talking about their dreams. It needs more people building them. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly, day after day, year after year. Because greatness is rarely loud. It is usually disciplined, built in silence, strengthened through repetition, protected by consistency. And discipline creates the freedom nobody talks about. The freedom to live without regret. The freedom to live with purpose. The freedom to control your own direction. The freedom to look back with pride instead of excuses. The freedom to become unforgettable.